Just you know, let's
All
be
right, so
way
I kind of
down.
want to talk about something real quick. You guys, as the single member of this podcast, I'm on dating sites. I'm like, I'm trying to meet people. I'm trying to make friends and do some things. I'd rather be alone
Hey,
for the rest of my life. But what I'm really annoyed with is the amount of, I don't know if it's annoyed, but just disturbed generally by the amount of sex workers that are on here. And like, I don't initially realize that they're sex workers. The red flag is that, like, okay, first of all, you're way too attractive to be on this site. Like, just way. Like the people that like, I don't mean any offense. Obviously, these people probably don't watch this podcast, so they won't hear it.
They are
But,
decent, decent
um,
people.
Mike, we'll talk. We'll talk afterwards. Decent people, maybe, but decent looking, not all the time. So I don't get very attractive women, swiping right on me. That's okay. I'm perfectly fine. I'm okay with that.
mhm.
So
They're lost.
They're missing out, man.
every once in a while, when I do get one that's like, wow, like, this is like oddly
Good
attractive
looking.
for
Yeah.
me. Like my scale is like, here and there, like okay, and
It's like that
I,
GameStop. Yeah.
so right. So then I got to do my investigation, and then I get into it, and it's like, oh yeah, like we can hit me up on Snapchat to discuss my rates. I'm like,
Oh,
fuck. Like, I thought, goddamn
But that's the thing.
Snapchat. What's the
That's
thing?
a smart way of networking and getting
Listen, I get it,
clientele.
and that's why at first I said that I was annoyed, but that's not really the word that I want because I see the hustle. Okay,
Nah, you
you
could be
can't really
annoyed.
be on the streets right now.
no, no,
I
no.
could nah, you could be annoyed. I would be annoyed if I'm looking to like meet someone new and I'm just being bombarded by like people trying to sell like
Internet hoes.
yeah,
A lot,
trying to yeah, trying
and
to
also I'm like, some of these people have to be catfish because like, so there was one person who was like an Instagram, um, like okay, so it was under the guise of okay, like hit me up for my rates or whatever. But
mhm,
then also the images that they were using were of an Instagram model, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that Instagram model is not also selling pussy on whatever dating app I was using at the time.
yeah,
Like, so you're catfishing, and you're trying to hook and bait me. I just don't appreciate the deceit, lies and
yeah,
deceit all up in this website, and
yeah.
some are better than others. But that's just been my struggle recently, and
Mm.
I was
I would
literally looking at it right now while we were talking, and I'm like, "This is an attractive woman." And I only looked at the picture, and then I looked at the Snapchat, and it was like, "Are you up for some fun? I charge for sex, meetups, and girlfriend experience. I want girlfriend experience. I don't want to pay for it. Okay, not,
I mean you do pay for it.
Oh yeah, you're
I
gonna
mean,
pay for it.
I'm not gonna pay for it like that though.
I mean,
you know,
what's really the difference? Am I right? Like
I
what's
I I
no,
would imagine if by girlfriend experience they just mean like you can
they
have
pretend to
sex.
be your girlfriend.
no,
No,
they'll
they'll
like
be
I don't know, or
simpatico. Like they'll spend
maybe
time with you.
they'll keep you company.
Right,
They'll call you babe and stuff like that
right.
when you need it. I don't
But
know.
only after you Venmo them $600. Like
Yeah,
that's
no.
it's like a package deal
Only
almost.
after you like giving your money with no way of ever of possibly getting it back, then they
Yes.
might do. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I would definitely I would be annoyed because
I
that's
would be too.
it's
Cause
a
like
safe space. It's supposed to be a safe space. You're supposed to be able to meet cutie singles in your area, like
yeah,
I
and
think those are also. I don't.
you know.
I don't know if that's also real dating, but
yeah.
speaking
I
of,
feel
Listen, I
I'm
mean,
doing a
me and my
transition. I'm doing a transition. I'm doing a transition. Okay. Speaking of meeting promiscuous white women in strange places, Tiger Woods, everybody.
oh
Tiger.
hey,
wait. So you're saying all the women that you've matched with have been white?
No, but a lot of the ones that are the internet
hoes.
hoes. Mike, I don't like that terminology. All right? These
What?
are working women. All right, maybe catfish also, but
Come on.
yeah,
I feel
they're
like
like
if they're catfishing you, it's fair to go from calling them working women to
the
calling them
hoes.
internet hoes. Yeah,
Yeah, what
I
is
feel like
this?
that's fair.
UC Berkeley? Come on.
Okay, okay,
No,
but
I'm just
yes. So most of the ones that are like selling ass on this app are white women. Yeah, the one in
Nice.
particular that I was like just looking at was a blonde woman, and then the one that was catfishing another IG's model or whatever was also a blonde woman. So those were fresh in my mind, but there's never been a black woman who also was doing this game. Not that I've seen, at least.
Right,
But
because white women are shameful and black women have
yeah.
respect for themselves.
No, no, no. Okay, not going down that road. But okay, Tiger documentary. Are we going into Tiger documentary first, or are we going into the
Yeah, let's
Tiger
do let's do.
Jason bit? Okay, Mike, you haven't seen it, right? But you know Tiger
Nope.
Woods' history.
Yeah.
Oh, do I know it?
So all right. So I guess let me set this up since I was the
Go
one
ahead,
who
please
like
do.
introduced. So long story short, I don't know one. I think it was when I was actually watching. Because I rarely watch HBO Max, so I think of maybe watching Wonder Woman or something. And
Mm,
they were advertising this Tiger Woods documentary on HBO Max. So I was like, "Oh, that looks cool. I love Tiger, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna watch it." And then like randomly this past week, I was like, "Oh, I wonder if the Tiger Woods documentary is out." So I check it and I watch it. Um, I enjoyed it. It was
I'll say
cool.
it's not as good as like and I think this was by Netflix, but that Epstein documentary that was fire, and
I
the
never watched that.
oh, it was really good. It was sad as fuck, like terrifying. This shit that this guy was doing, but also just like a more riveting story. And then, but I think also because we kind of knew Tiger's story a little bit already, so there
Yeah,
wasn't
like
like as much reveals.
yeah, and also like you didn't get like for one, it wasn't endorsed like by Tiger, his ex-wife, or his mother. So it's
Mm,
like it was about him, but like it wasn't his doc. Like it wasn't
yeah.
like an auto I guess autobiographical documentary to an extent.
So one thing that, and I guess is a good question for you, is like in part two towards the end, there is an interview with Tiger, but it didn't have the same setup and visual look as the other interviews. So I wasn't sure if it was like this is Tiger's giving his part of this documentary, or if they just had access to that footage and they kind of put it in there because it
I
just
think
felt
that's uh, I think
yeah,
that's what it was.
that's what it was, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. Like I do feel like it would have been nice if we saw like Tiger give his 2 cents in it to a
yeah,
degree, or just have some input. But
yeah,
otherwise, it was well done. But
yeah. It was.
continue.
Um, I mean, pretty much I like because I've been following Tiger since like I've been like aware of sports. He was like he's the only reason why I've ever paid attention to golf. So like
Hmm.
I guess I'm one of um those
The black
converts that
people.
that
Yeah.
Earl was talking about. The
Right. Right.
all right, one thing that was the first thing that came out that stuck out to me was that like within like the first 5 minutes, I Earl Woods, which is Tiger's father, is like
Mm,
speaking at like an award banquet. I
mm,
guess that Tiger might be he might be receiving an award, and
mm.
he's up at the podium talking to the crowd, and he's talking about like his pride in Tiger, and then he goes on to say some of the like insane hype stuff I ever heard in my life.
What, like
Like
saying Tiger's going to be like a revolutionary and like doing all these things and changing the
saying he's
sport?
good, not even the sport. He said he was going to be the greatest force of humanitarianism the
Right.
world had ever seen.
Right. 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 Okay.
And
So I have
that
like two things with that. Like one, I think that's just confident dad energy.
no,
I
no.
think a part of it is because like we say the same, like whenever LeVar Ball says like kind of like unfounded kind of insane things about his sons, like oh they're going to be the greatest player, like you know, like no one else has that expectation for him, but that's their father. Like if they don't believe that, then no one else would believe
No.
that. You know, like I think
This,
Tiger's dad is supposed to.
there's
Also,
a
the man was creating a machine. He had this
that's
boy at 2 years old swinging golf clubs. Yeah, he knew that he was about to do some next level shit.
that's that's different. There's a difference between like hyping that your son is going to be your sons are going to be like the best players in the league, and saying that your son is going to be the greatest force of good the world had ever seen.
Okay, but look,
He
honestly,
he
was he that
basically
far
said
off?
he was going to be Jesus.
Was he that far off?
Tiger is one of the greatest, most iconic figures of the past 25, of the past 50 years.
And if he didn't have those
He is
hiccups in
not
his career,
Jesus.
if
He
he
is
didn't
not
have those hiccups
Jesus.
in his career, though, like the following that this man, like he had Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan level fame, right? If he didn't have those blemishes in his career, and he was maybe able to have like like if his impact was able to keep growing without those hiccups, you never
I
know.
don't.
Like this guy
I
might have
don't.
been like a
I
huge
don't.
humanitarian. He could
I
still
don't.
be.
He could still be, but like that's my point. His like the scandal with his affairs and stuff like that was not hadn't stopped him before from being this great force of humanitarianism that united all races. And so is that what we're saying? Is that
I mean, look,
that
look, look,
he
look, look.
wait, are we blaming him for Trump? Is that what we're saying? That if it wasn't for him cheating, we if
Yeah,
he
there would
hadn't
have been
cheated
no
on his
Trump.
wife, there would
He
be
would have
no
been
Trump.
president instead of Donald Trump. It's like imagine an alternate universe where Tiger doesn't cheat and becomes the president of the United States.
But the thing is, another
like
part of
that
that is
trajectory is
that
just
like
completely different.
he was also hell bent on surpassing Jack. So like
Hmm.
he wouldn't have time to be president because he
Okay,
had
wait,
to.
hold on. I gotta ask this question, Mike.
Mm.
As the resident white of this podcast, all right.
Mm.
What is your golf knowledge? Do you know people that like golf? Do you like golf? Have you played golf? Like I the only time I ever saw golf on TV is probably because Tiger was playing, and I never really watched it for very long because I just saw some white people hitting some balls, and that didn't really strike me as interesting at the time. So, what is your experience with golf, if any?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, to keep it short, like, I was just gonna say that, like, I know generally, like, what about Tiger and like what's happened with him and stuff, and obviously some of the stuff is just tragic because he's a really famous guy, but I mean, I know like a few people that like actually like golf and play golf. I went once to like actually hit,
Hmm.
like, actually not even, I wouldn't say, like, actually hit, like, I was just, like, fucking around, like,
Hmm.
and
But you were on a golf course.
I was on a golf course, yeah, and I
See, that's
watched
white right there.
somebody do it, yeah, but
I
that was
probably have
one
more
time.
golf exposure and experience
Mini
than Mike
golf,
does.
that's it, like, that's
Uh,
my exposure, mini golf, and a couple of older white people I've been around, like, have watched it on TV, and I'm like, "This is boring as fuck," like, but,
Um,
I
but
mean,
that's the thing.
like,
He made
stuff
it
behind it,
exciting. He made it
yeah,
exciting for me. Like so, I only watched when he was a part of it, even though
mhm,
like he was still playing the same, which speaks to his greatness, his appeal as a figure and athlete. That
right.
like he was doing the same thing that all these other guys were doing, but like he was captivating. He was like charismatic in the way in who he was and how he played.
Mhm.
Um,
Is
so
he the
yeah,
greatest? I know he didn't pass the 18, or yeah, he didn't pass the 18 championships or whatever. But is he considered the greatest, like in hindsight, or are people still giving that? Is it still like the Jordan thing? Whoever has the most rings, but
I feel
also
like
like,
I feel like it's one of those things that like it's like a
so he's
uh
LeBron right now.
kind of, but
bro.
like I
Who's
don't
the
know
other guy?
Jack
Phil
Nicholas,
Jack Nicholas, yeah, and
Oh,
who's
but
the
okay.
like
other big one? Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson
he's
has some.
he's nowhere close to
He's not
like
in the conversation,
it's him, yeah, it's him and yeah, it's like it's a LeBron Jordan thing, but like I feel
right?
like it's a little different because I think at this point he has the most like career wins like on tour
In the
history.
documentary, I'm pretty sure it said he was second with 80 wins.
Is he still second?
I don't. Yeah, well, as that came out, I'm pretty sure it was second with 80 wins. Because I remember even there was a part of the documentary where they were like, I don't remember who was asking the question. Maybe Conan O'Brien or something. But he was like, would you rather get 100 wins, which would have been the most, and
Yeah,
like less championships, like less than Nicholson,
yeah, or 19.
or would you rather get
19, of course.
19 and less wins? And he picked the 19
19,
championships because
yeah,
that would
because
make him
it's
dope.
the equivalent of 7 rings. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Which
has
I don't agree with,
he
honestly.
has 82, which is tied for I think it's tied for first. So
Got
he would
you.
just need one more to have the most wins, and but he's second with 15 uh major wins.
Could you make? I mean, I said I made this comparison already, but like, would you compare um Tiger to like LeBron as far as like career?
Yeah, yeah,
Is
I'd
that like
say so.
fair?
I think it's fair. Yeah, I would say it's a really fair comparison. Um,
Because I'm just trying to figure
Although,
out like
like, I
why
would
he
say
isn't considered the GOAT outside of championships.
I think it's solely, I think it's solely the 18.
Hmm.
Honestly, like that's the thing though. Like that's the difference between the LeBron Jordan thing is that like you could there's still an argument to be made that Jordan is still a better player.
Hmm.
Well, I don't think that's the case here. Like I think I'm my feeling is that like Jordan that like Tiger Woods is clearly the better player.
Yeah.
Like even accounting for like time and like I guess we would say like inflation due to like
Hmm.
technology and
Right. The
human
athleticism and the
athleticism and all that,
facilities that are available and all that stuff.
and like just sheer dominance. I'm
Right.
sure. Yeah, I was. I'm pretty. But like, and also a big part of it. I think the the most interesting conversation with Tiger isn't the golf, is the race part. So like that's the part that I feel that it's like while having a black or a mixed race man being the greatest golfer of all time, some people in the golf world still don't want it. So they hold on to the 18 as he hasn't reached that yet. So he's not
Hmm.
the greatest, even though like he's matched or surpassed Jack in everything else, right? So and leading into that, like when it was happening and like watching the documentary, what did you guys think about like Tiger's like scandal and everything when it came to, do you think there was a racial component to like the
The way it
societal
went down.
reaction to to his his uh his cheating scandal and things like that?
I mean,
Mm,
I didn't see the documentary, but I'm
Do you
sure.
remember? Do you remember like when it happened? Because it happened was it 2008?
No, I don't particularly remember it, but I would be very like surprised if race wasn't a factor in concerning like what you're talking about.
mhm.
Yeah.
Because it has to be like he's a professional sports player, like involved in this in these other scandals and whatnot. Like race has to be a part of it.
Yeah. I've
Not like I think it should be that way. I just mean
Oh
like
no, no, no. Like
that's
the
how it is.
reality of it. Yeah. Um
Yeah.
I felt it was, I don't know. It was, there was one thing that they kept bringing up that I remember even back then that always bugged me. It was this idea of he always portrayed himself to be something he wasn't.
In what sense?
I guess in terms of like him being a like loving, happy husband when he was
Oh,
really
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And he was really like it was an alter ego or something like that.
but like I find that like the fact that they would use that as like a justification for like how hard they went at him and
Hmm.
like
Oh, because
basically
like this isn't the tiger that we loved, or this isn't the
the
man that
man
we
he,
fell in love with,
yeah,
or
and I'm
portrayed
like,
himself to be.
but like
Yeah.
for one thing, he didn't commit a crime. He cheated on his wife.
Hmm.
Like that's the part that makes me feel like this was more than just like a man and his actions and there was a racial
Mm,
component to it, is
right.
because like they made like a character flaw into something like much more of a scandal than like,
Hmm.
because like
The
people
part
feel,
where they talk about the committee of Augusta, and like they have like this press conference and they like basically say like you disappointed us so much and like like so watching that part I was like really uncomfortable. I was like, wait, why is this like why are they even talking about this in
yeah,
that way? And then I was really glad when everyone like after they showed that clip because basically it Mike you didn't see it, but like it's three white dudes that work for the Augusta, which is like a huge golf tournament. Is
The
that the word?
the golf, yeah, the golf tournament, the
Right.
Masters, that host the
So like
Masters.
so like these there's one guy speaking, but like he's representing this committee, and they're basically saying like, we were so disappointed in you, Tiger, and like we can't believe that you would do something like this, and like basically like just deriding him for the whole thing. And like I get if you feel that way personally, like if you knew him or something like that, but to come out, it's like if like the NBA came out after Kobe's thing, RP Kobe, and was like, oh Kobe, like we can't believe that you would do something like that, or like it's just like why
Yeah,
is that
That's
organization.
that's a bad. That's a wait. You wait with Kobe? That's a bad comparison.
Like I'm saying, if Adam Silver came out and had a press conference and said how disappointed he was in Kobe after his allegations from years back, like it would feel the same way to me that this feels like it's just would seem
It's
out of
different
place.
though. Wait.
How is it different? Kobe
One
cheated
is
on his wife and
no.
Tiger cheated on.
No. Kobe was
Assaulted,
accused of
rape. Yeah,
rape.
that's
Wait,
true. That's true. We forget about that because it's Kobe. We forget
wait.
about that
Hold
because
on.
it's COVID. But
Hold on.
I still don't know if an organization.
Bad comparison, but no, I completely like that's my point about it too. Like this is adultery. This is cheating on your wife.
Right.
This is a thing that we should like is not a cool thing to
I
do.
mean, Kobe
But
did
like
still cheat on his wife.
yeah,
It's
He
not
no,
a.
he
It
also.
was not a crime.
yeah, it was, but it wasn't a crime. Like that's the thing though. Like,
Well, what about prostitution? Because Tiger was involved in prostitution. That is a crime.
well, he wasn't charged with anything. Let's
I mean,
Neither was
Kobe
Kobe.
was charged, but he wasn't
Oh,
convicted.
he was charged.
listen. It's no. Let's get away from Kobe. Let's not go.
Listen,
This is. We're not talking about a dead man now. This
On
is
his
about Tiger.
in his anniversary, let's not bring up his.
I said R.I.P. Kobe. That makes it okay.
So I just.
But
God.
But yeah, so like I definitely feel there was a racial component to that. That like the standard he was held to, and the 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 sense of I can't I'm missing the word. The
I was just
indignation that they
upset.
had was
I
it
was
felt
upset because like
racially motivated. That like
looking at those guys, I was like, I know you've cheated on your wife. Like I don't know you as a person. I don't know your name, but I
but
can look
dating
at you and I
and
know
know
that you
that
cheated on your wife.
yeah,
So like
but
he's
dating
probably doing it right now. So
but
the fact
dating
that they
get
would
caught.
come out their faces and say it and say that, like if anything, they should have been like, listen, like damn, bro, like you got caught, like, and just should have shut their mouths and just been quiet about it. Like those guys are cheating on their wives, all of them.
Oh, for sure. So like I think
Oh,
there was definitely a racial component to it that I found gross even way back then. I felt like there was a racial component to like I feel like whenever famous black people get into any type of trouble is definitely more sensationalized.
Hmm.
Their character is definitely called way more into character, and there's definitely some racism to that.
Yeah.
But going further into the race part, another big part that I found interesting was the discussion about Tiger and his race, because
Hmm.
that was the big thing about Earl and his father, is that him as a black man, as a black figure, would be the rising guiding light, the basically the
The Messiah.
tennis Jesus, yeah, basically. Um, and his race has always been something of discussion because he's been recognized, he's been looked at as a black man, but in interviews he's kind of shied away from. Like I think early on um, he identified himself as a black person when he was like a teen and like still an amateur or early in his pro career. But then as he became this massive global iconic brand, he kind of started backing away. I think he called
Hmm.
himself uh, what was it called?
Blasian,
Kablasian, yeah,
something
Kablasian,
like
because
that.
he's a mix of white, black,
Black
and
and
Asian.
Asian.
So Caucasian, black, Asian. He called himself that. Um,
that's
and
ingenious.
they were talking about the black community's reaction to him. That at first we embraced him because black people are very supportive of those that achieve greatness in this
Hmm.
world. Um,
especially in places where they're not, you know, they
especially when
don't
they're not accepted or
fit
not
in.
expected.
Yeah,
Yeah, not
right.
expected. So that we rallied around him, embraced him, took accepted him as
Hmm.
our own. And with this the Blasian comment, he seemed to back away and somewhat denounce
Blackness.
his blackness to an extent. And then I think they showed a clip of like who was it, Brian Gumble,
Mm.
responding to it and says that like basically that he's black, he's African American because that's the way
The world
that
sees him.
that's the way America sees him as a black man.
Hmm.
And I don't know, for some reason I had a very like guttural reaction to hearing that.
Mm.
Like I understood it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah,
Um,
and so that's interesting that you say that because so when Tiger said, and I had never seen this interview, um,
with
the
Oprah.
only yeah, like the only concept of Tiger not being black that I knew of was the racial draft from Dave Chappelle,
Yeah,
and like saying the black people were gonna draft him and like you know take him or whatever. So like I didn't know about that interview or that soundbite at all,
it'll be
but
fried rice or low fried chicken.
well done. But potential episode title there. um, but like, if you were to ask Tiger, like, you know, how does the world perceive you? I think he would say, yeah, I acknowledge that they would just consider me a black man. My father's a black man. But like, I think in that setting with Oprah, like, that's not how he necessarily sees himself. Like, he acknowledges that he's comprised of multiple things. Like, he acknowledges his mother's side of his family. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think it was wrong for him to say, you know, I don't feel just black. I feel like I'm a mix of things.
yeah,
Like I don't think that's denouncing his blackness. I think that's just
yeah.
acknowledging the other aspects of his genetic makeup.
But that's how that's how I think for a large part that's the norm. A large percentage of the way the thinking is that like if you're black, if you're perceived as if you're if any significant percentage of you is of African descent, if you appear if
Hmm.
you're black in appearance, then you're black.
Right?
So I guess I want to ask leading into like how do you guys feel about I guess what's the expression the one drop rule.
Mm.
Um, so how do you guys feel about that? Like, because for me, like I felt weird thinking about this because like especially in this year of um awareness of the anti-blackness, white supremacy that exists in this country. I'll
Hmm.
say a new uh, boost in pride in blackness and protecting and
Hmm.
supporting blackness as and supporting just blackness in America. I felt weird because like I knew exactly what like the other side would say because my in my head I was thinking it's not like how would it's not wrong to say that no I'm not black or I'm not just black. I'm also I don't know if he's his mother is Thai or I'm not just I'm also Asian and white
Hmm. Hmm.
and I feel wrong denying these other aspects of myself just because of my skin tone.
Hold on.
And and
I just had a question pop into my mind for Mike.
yeah,
Mike, at what percentage of blackness, like, would you feel like if you took your genetic makeup test, right? What percentage of black would make you feel comfortable enough to say the N word in public? You look exactly the same, right?
Yeah. Look exactly
he
the
looks like the
same.
Australian guy from the video.
No, don't make him whiter.
There was an
Just make it,
Australian guy?
yeah, it's Patty. But
Oh, right, that he
No,
was Jamaican or
no. I'm talking
something?
about from the YouTube
oh,
video.
from the mixed video, right? No,
Yeah,
but that like if I looked at that guy, I would have thought he was just a light skinned black guy. To be honest with you, I didn't think he looked like a
yeah.
white
Yeah,
He
I
kind
would
of
have thought that too.
he kind of had like the features and like the vibe of like someone who was definitely had like yeah. So yeah, I'm
I
super
don't
happy
think
to.
there's a percentage. I don't think that there's if I looked exactly like I do, I would never use the N
He's
word.
like I need to be 6 shades darker. No, 20 shades
well,
darker.
I'm
What are
just
you gonna
saying,
but
right?
like I think it's also like I can't imagine it because I'm not it. But like
Mhm.
if I had grown up with a parent who was black, or even like a third of me was black or something, which doesn't really make
Mhm.
sense. But like
So 33% is your answer.
no, but I mean, like, if that thirdness, like, was the reason for me to have been more engulfed in
Like
black
the
culture for
culture,
some
yeah.
reason, like maybe, but like the way I've grown up now, like I've just thought about it. Like I don't think anybody should necessarily be saying it. I think
Mhm.
everybody has a right to say it. Not everybody. Black people have the right to say it. But I mean, like, I don't think it's I think it could be we could go without it essentially, but like no, I don't think there's any percentage. I don't think there's any percentage if I look exactly like that I would ever use the N word, because then I would literally every time I'd have to preface this be like, listen, I'm a
You have to
21st
pull out the
Yeah,
black
you have
card
to
and
keep
be
that
like,
on you all the time.
or have it as a, like
You'd be like, well,
But
here it is.
if I had a bunch of black friends
Mhm,
who knew that I was part black,
mhm.
like
But you,
maybe I would feel more comfortable doing that,
but
like,
you
but I
you
wouldn't just
treated
go
it
into a
serious.
bank and be like, I'm part black. Listen, you
Wait,
N-words, like
one thing, black people don't do that. Go like I'm black. Listen, you N words. Give me money or give me my money.
no, but I mean sometimes I feel like black people have
the bank
connections.
robbery all of a sudden.
No, it doesn't have to be a robbery. I'm just like if you go into a bank and you're
Uh,
talking to somebody else who's black, maybe for some reason you knew each other, you've seen each other around or something like that, and you use the N word, like it just
mhm.
happens to be in a bank.
All right, fair enough.
All right. Now,
You gotta
so
be careful with these questions. That was a good
so
one. Though.
but yeah, so like, that goes back. Like I said, that goes back to my question. How do you guys feel about like? How do you feel about like the idea of like if you're mixed, you're you identifying as black or um
So
like the condemnation for not being
Fully black.
not not calling yourself black or like calling yourself
mhm.
mixed race like as
Mhm.
opposed to calling yourself black because of uh societal perception.
So I two-part answer for me for that one. First thing, I think what matters the most is how you identify, right? And that was a big thing that we saw in that video that you're talking about.
Hmm.
Like those people, like they said, like the guy who was Australian and Jamaican, right?
Okay. Oh wait,
He's
hold on a
like,
second. Just so to let our audience know. So funny enough, after I watched the Tiger documentary, funny enough, I'm just like scrolling through YouTube, the exploration. I guess the world. I actually am being listened to and hacked.
mhm.
So randomly, the
You're one of the hackers. No, I'm just kidding.
but funny enough, so after watching this documentary and thinking about like how I feel about this topic, randomly I come across this video where they basically interview and ask a bunch of questions to a group of mixed race children, mixed race people of all different backgrounds and ethnic
Mhm.
makeups, and ask them different questions about their perceptions of themselves, their race, how they're perceived by the world. So it included um, a one guy who was very light skinned, basically white, who had
White
a
passing for sure.
white passing, who had an Australian father, I believe, and a Jamaican mother.
Mhm.
Included a very black appearing woman who was African and Chinese, I believe.
Mhm.
Um, a dark skinned woman who had more Asian looking features, who was Filipino and black, a very white looking guy who was, I think he was either white or Jewish and Iranian.
Yeah, he was
Um,
white and Iranian.
I'm trying to think what was the other one.
We don't need to list the
Um,
whole thing, but
yeah,
there
Yeah,
was a
but like
variety of people.
variety, and there were very ones that had
it was a
very
mixed bag. Okay.
yes, a mixed bag.
But
There were and there were very and there were people who very had an outward appearance that was one thing, but
Mhm.
they had different perspectives on like
How
how
they
they
identify.
self identified, what background they more associated with and identified with.
Mhm.
Um,
So
but
yeah,
yeah,
that's what I was speaking to. Like, I think that is the most important part of it is like how an individual uh,
themselves.
represents and you know what they align with and how they grew up. Like those are things that matter the most. Like I can't sit here and tell someone like what Brian Gumbo was like. Well, you look black, so you're black. Like
that's a
I get the
common
sentiment.
feeling.
I understand the sentiment completely because you're going to be judged based off of your outward appearance first and foremost, always.
Is that fair?
So it's not fair, but it
Okay.
is the real world. It is the social construct that we exist in, right? Like no one's gonna ask you to pull out your card where Mike can show that he's actually 3% black. Like it's not gonna happen. So if he goes into the bank, you know,
Please don't
scream,
ask me to do that.
screaming the N word, you know, people aren't gonna take kindly to that. But like, so that's one thing. But then the second part of it is, you know, you can look a certain way but you maybe don't like kind of what Mike was saying. It was like even if I did have this percentage of black, but I wasn't in tune with the community. Like it wasn't like the black girl who she says that she feels comfortable using racial slurs towards Chinese people, but not towards black people because she didn't grow up with them. Like she doesn't
Yeah.
feel like that's her place to do so, even though she looked black. So like
Yes.
I think it kind of depends like how you grow up and how you experience life makes a difference. But like you can't tell anyone, well, you look this way, so you are this thing. You
And
know,
I
like
just want to make a comment on that girl's like I don't know what this is a result of, but one thing that I think is interesting for me that I felt when she said that, because essentially she was saying, because she was half black, half Asian, I think, right? And
Yeah.
she was
That's
talking
I
about
remember
how
that.
if she was around her Asian girls, like her
mhm,
friends, she would use the C word around
mhm,
them. And I
mhm.
just like I almost like I recoiled when I heard that
Right.
because like when but I don't recoil when I hear black people using the N word around each other, which
Right.
I think is just interesting. It's like an interesting thing,
It's been normalized though.
right?
Like that word in particular, especially like if there were more, I don't know
And also,
that
like Mike,
culture,
how much interaction do you have
the
with
Chinese people.
Chinese and like yeah and people and
Yeah, I mean
Asian?
maybe it's a more commonplace thing that I know. I
Right.
don't.
Yeah, I don't that's gonna be a thing. I feel like it might be a very more well, and maybe in some communities that like the
Mhm.
use the taking back or the the reclaiming
Reclaiming.
of
Mhm.
racial slurs within a certain ethnic group may be something that happens. It can only speak for
The
my
community that you
for
belong to. Yeah.
yeah, or at least or just experience the community I've been surrounded by. So I'm
Mhm.
not around a lot of
Mhm.
Chinese or Asians in general, so I don't know that. Um, and I don't and I can't speak that for other groups.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the video also you mentioned that like I kind of want to get back onto like the idea of the fairness part of it. So I understand and I understand and I accept that this is the reality of things. But
Mhm.
so like for example, with this like the black girl we were talking about, she said she felt comfortable. She speaks fluid um,
Cantonese.
Cantonese,
Cantonese, right? And she
which is
feels comfortable.
apparently,
Um, huh?
which is different from I thought. Well, actually, no, that's stupid. Never mind.
Yeah, don't say it, Mike. Don't say it.
Okay.
No, I was just gonna say I thought Mandarin was the official name for Chinese, but apparently I guess Chinese is another. It's separate from Mandarin.
Well, I don't Chinese people. If and maybe I'm going to sound stupid too, but I don't think Chinese people speak Chinese. Chinese people speak a bunch of different languages,
Yeah,
like Mandarin and Cantonese and all these other
Um,
things.
yeah.
But
I think that
racist white people or well, racist Americans just say, "Hey, you speak Chinese," and then that's
yeah, yeah. I think there's like a bunch of different uh
dialect.
languages and dialects because there are a lot
yeah,
of still different like ethnicities
right,
within China and like that Asian, I guess the Asian mainland.
right.
Um,
Yeah, because some of them are like like closer to Russia and
Hmm.
like Uyghurs, which is a
yeah.
different version.
So what I so the girl said, but she felt that, but she didn't feel as comfortable. She said with her in in her, I guess her interactions in her blackness, her black background because of the way she spoke. Because she spoke,
Hmm.
she had
Which I can actually relate to that.
I don't know how to describe it.
Whitewashed. She
I don't know if
spoke like a.
I don't know if it's white.
That's how she described it though. She said that
Yeah,
she speaks like a white girl, which I
yeah. So
had that. Kamal, did
she
you
didn't.
have that? Did you have that growing up? Because I feel like
I
you're like well spoken.
I think I've gotten the well spoken thing before, but yeah.
Have you
I
gotten
don't
it
think
from black people though?
yeah, I think I have, which goes into the terrible uh idea of like this idea of like I don't know a
Not
certain
black is
type
black
of
enough.
this certain type of English uh
Hmm.
dialect and sounding is a property of whiteness and
Right.
or the idea of properness and whiteness and
Hmm.
uh I guess uncivilized or improperness being with the black dialects and accents and things like that.
Hmm.
But like if she was existing in the world, commonly she would be most people would identify her as black,
For sure.
right?
100%.
So I want to so like if she said I don't like I'm mixed race or like I'm black and Chinese, I'm not just a black woman or something. That was something she was interested in stressing. Do we like do we think it's unfair? Do we think it's fair for her to get the
Yaks.
the the backlash she would get for because like getting
Wait,
the
wait. What
bride
is she saying? That's getting backlash.
like they saying that she's black and she's saying I'm mixed race, I'm mixed, I'm
I
black
mean,
and
I think that that
Chinese.
happens, but like I don't think it's fair.
Okay,
And it's same in the reverse. Like I have a friend who like I guess you would say genetically they have blackness in them, but because they don't look black, they don't feel comfortable like even embracing it. And like you were pointing to like the awakening or the pride that we have in like black culture, like from the previous events. And this person, like we were talking about, like I don't feel comfortable, embracing my black side because the black community will actually say to me like, are you black? Like, are you sure? Like, are you just saying that? Like, so it
hmm
kind of happens both ways where there are people that are hesitant to embrace a side because they don't look a certain way. So you can't say that like it's
so
not
then
fair that they look a certain way and you judge them, but it's also not fair to put them in a box and or exclude them from something because they don't
so
look a certain way.
so then that's the thing though. So then I would say also another part about like being black, if we're being honest, is a the idea of passing, right? And like one's appearance as something having the traits you would commonly associate with that. Because I think another common phenomenon we are well aware of is like colorism, right?
Hmm.
So like even if you're black and you have um dark darker skin, there are still levels to that. So if you're
Right.
on the lighter side of um
if Mike took his test, right, and came out that he was 33% black today, the black community would not accept him.
Right. And I wouldn't try and I wouldn't want them to. Like,
Now I really want you to do one of those tests. I just want to see.
it's like I don't know, like it's like,
But you see, the thing is, if you
how are you
you
using
saying that, you would you the response would be that white that's an example of anti-blackness perpetuated by the white supremacist society we live in. Is that
Me, what I said?
no? What Mike said.
what did
Oh,
I mean,
that he wouldn't. Oh, because he would deny his blackness because he feels that
no,
he
I
doesn't
wouldn't
look black enough.
that's the thing though. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's all about how you use it. I wouldn't deny it. Like I wouldn't be like, oh, like it's only 33%. Like that's basically zero. Like I wouldn't do that. I would acknowledge it. I would just say that like I, that I have no place in that community. I've never been raised to have
You
a place.
do have a place though. You see, you do have a place, and like, and that's the thing that people struggle with. And my friend that I was thinking of, like, the community, even if the community doesn't want you because of how you look, that doesn't take away from the fact that you do have a legitimate case and a position and just like a home within that community. Like, for one, you just have to be around the right people. But like, if someone who doesn't look black and is legitimately black and like their family is black and like they're culturally black, right? But they just don't look that way. Like, it's not fair. This is what's not fair for the community to say, well, you don't look like us, so you can't be with us. Like, that's fucked
Mhm.
up.
Yeah, no, that's I think that's a separate, like that's almost a separate issue. I think, but I don't think that a genetic number gives credence to the idea that you deserve a piece of that culture. You deserve a plate,
Tell
like
that to Elizabeth Warren.
yeah, like I mean, I just like it's culture is separate from your genetics, like
Yeah,
not in all
totally.
ways, but in some ways, like
But which makes the I don't know, which makes like the colorism part of it so interesting is that like there's even people who are genetically black and like may appear black, there are still divides and conflicts even amongst
Hmm. Right.
them because there's this idea that goes back to slavery about with lighter skinned black people and
Hmm.
um whether the advantages of or like the advantages of being more white appearing and them I guess with them being more associated with the house slaves and things of that
Yeah,
nature.
house niggas and field niggas.
Yeah, and in the dark. So and this idea of like um I don't know, lighter skin being more acceptable and
Hmm.
promoted and uh,
Straighter
glor-
nose.
glorified. Yeah, glorified white features being more
Yeah.
glorified
Yeah.
in the greater white society, where dark skin is more uh, discriminated and
down upon.
yeah frowned upon. One is
Hmm.
elevated, and how even the idea of creating superiority complex within the black community based on like skin tone
Hmm.
and white appearing features,
Right.
and that's what makes it hard because like the the black community, like what does it look like and what does that consist of like nowadays, right?
But just to throw like another wrinkle into that too, like when you talk about colorism, but then also bring in colorism for black men and then colorism for black women, right? Because for it's kind of like opposite ends of the spectrum. When we look
Oh
at a guy
yeah.
like Colin Kaepernick or Barack Obama, like they're not black enough, and it's like a detriment. Like their lightness is a detriment. But then we think about women, like any Beyonce, Nicki, but like all the light skinned or lighter skinned black women who are praised for their beauty because they're lighter, but like the black men are not black. It's like it's a weird dynamic
It's
that for
and
one group it's like praise, another group it's a criticism.
and
It's
I guess
weird.
and wouldn't I guess the answer, and as sad as it is, like the answer always like to some extent always goes back to slavery, right?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I
like
was gonna say poisonous media, but yeah, sure.
no, because like I guess the idea is because like with because and well slavery and like general sexism because like
Hmm.
women
Yeah, it's like the
um
wombo combo of slavery and
yeah
sexism.
because women have been like are marginalized by being judged and um modified based on their appearance and their sexualities and their
Hmm.
bodies. So like an appearance of a woman who is more whiter looking or whiter passing or lighter
Hmm.
skinned would be upheld, and it makes sense that they're more um,
Desirable.
considered or like claimed to be more desirable by a white supremacist society, right?
Hmm.
Whereas the for black men, the kind of the rebellion against this uh, anti-blackness is shown in that like lighter skinned men are considered um less black or
Hmm.
and I guess it also plays into the idea of like dark the fetishization of like black men and
Yeah,
the
the Black
what's the
Bull.
the black bull the mandingo all that
Yeah,
so like
Kong.
It's been a minute
yes
since I heard that word, mandingo.
yeah, but that's a part of it, right? So those are, and that is a those are stereotypes that have been perpetuated, right?
Hmm.
And it still exists within the this is like what we have today.
And it's funny because white women, all they want to do is tan and look darker. It's like,
Yeah, that just further it just speaks to like the idea of like black um blackness being both
coveted and like,
reviled and coveted. Yeah, like
Hmm.
it's like this constant like idea of like this constant struggle for like imitating and like capturing blackness, yet being like disgusted and having a hatred for it and a superiority to it, yet a coveting it and desiring it at the same time.
I mean, as long as we have people in our culture and society that peddle like false narratives about, I mean, forget about, politics and stuff like that. As long as we have people in our culture that peddle um, false narratives around race, history, and like biological knowledge, like people who still think that, or I like listened to one day during this year. I listened to there was a famous discussion between a eugenicist and I believe it was um, Du Bois.
Hmm.
I'm forgetting his first name now. Of course, what's his first name?
W.E.B. Du Bois.
Yeah, W.E.D. Du Bois. He debated a eugenicist. Like,
Wait, like you listen to like an old cassette tape or something?
no, it was a podcast, but it was
Oh,
talking
then it's
about
definitely not W.E.B. Du Bois.
Yeah, like
'Cause or maybe there's some other Du Bois. I thought you were talking
or
about
may
some old recording.
or maybe it says
So
like
are there
his
public
like
eugenicists now? Are
yeah.
eugenicists still out there?
There's still people who share those, but they kind of hide it. I think they're like they're like race realists and things
wait,
like that.
what?
Okay,
Wait,
so we were unclear on the Du Bois that you were talking about.
Mhm.
because
So when
W.E.B. Du Bois
he
has
was
been
like
dead
thriving in
for
like, yeah,
the early 19 like hundreds.
Yeah, those
Like
people still exist. Like they may not be called eugenicists,
oh
but
no,
they're
wait. Let's stay with the Du Bois part first. Who were you listening to the famous writer and and activist, or are you talking about some guy who
no,
also has that?
I wasn't listening to him. It was a podcast story about him doing it back in the day.
Oh, okay,
okay,
okay.
Sorry, I
okay,
wasn't
yeah.
clear on that. Yeah, no, back in the day. There was a scheduled debate where he debated a eugenicist, and
Oh,
this
okay.
podcast was talking
We
about
thought that
that.
you were
Okay.
saying that W.E.B. Du Bois came back from the dead and
Or that
started his
you
own podcast.
or that you were claiming that he was still alive, and I was like, Mike, I need to tell you something. I don't know if you know this.
No, that's some false narrative right there.
That man's been dead for a while. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to tell you.
No. It was
Okay,
a podcast dedicated to talking about
about the debate. Okay,
the debate and the politics surrounding it. And now I forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, now I forgot what I was talking about.
all right. So wait. So now that we have
I
that
didn't mean to
established,
derail you.
we were talking about and you said he was debating a race eugenicist, and
Oh yeah. I was just saying, as long as we have people that believe that kind of stuff, and I mean, they stormed the Capitol 2 weeks ago. Like the guy with the headdress thing, like he's got Nordic Not I don't know what, I don't know the history behind the tattoos that he had, but essentially they're linked to white as the being a master race. Um,
yeah,
and and stuff like that. As long as there are people out there who hold positions of power, who hold positions that influence media and stuff like that, there's always going to be those though those perceptions, and it's a terrible cyclic machine that like trickles down from corporate media to people who work in corporate media to the people that they go back to their communities, and that's how they're affected by what they see in magazines, on corn stores, and on social, especially social media, even Pornhub. Not to be like too graphic, they got in trouble recently. Not, I don't know if it was recently, but essentially, they have they people claim that any like videos that they have on their website um
yeah, are, like
fall under the
legal, and like they were illegally up to like illegally recorded, and
yeah,
like
but no, but they've also been accused of having like racist categories and stuff. Like you're talking about, oh, you
Mm.
want to see like a Mandingo like take it on
A lily
a
white
college grad.
princess.
Right, yeah, like that's racist. That's it. Like that's based on like stereotypical tropes of race. But
yeah.
yeah,
But like those things, and the way the way you combat it is through what education, socioeconomic redistribution and justice, and I guess political, in terms of justice, political, the accumulation of political power of people who share similar ways of thought in regards to achieving that justice.
and
Speaking
it's
of
done in me.
racism,
But yeah, Mike. But yeah, come on. Those people do
but
exist. They're regarded as I think race realists. They're the white
like
nationalists, alt
they're
right.
like they're still
Allow
like
those.
doctors and like that type of thing, or are they just like
I'm sure
Toby that
they
lives
are.
on
I'm sure
And there was in
there.
that list of people who caused the insurrection in the Capitol. There were tons of people that like
There are
had
tons of professionals. Yeah,
yeah.
Mm.
like you can. Yeah, unfortunately, like
But like you can public. I guess my question is because I know that there's people that have that ideology, right?
yeah,
But like in 1920, you could be like, oh yeah, the eugenicist group of Long Island, like that was like an establishment that people could be in, right?
Yeah, I don't think it
yeah,
was that.
But
It's not probably that overt, but at the same time, I gotta send this to you guys. I recently read an article that went in depth about what's the advisor that Trump had. I think his first name is Steve. He
Stephen
was
Miller.
Bannon,
Yeah,
Stephen Miller. Yeah,
yeah.
he
or
I
it could have
read,
been Bannon. They're
yeah,
both Black Adam.
right. This article was about him essentially talking to reporters at a white, like what's considered to be like a white nationalist influence media
Mm.
company, and him having, and it was like clips and snippets and you know dive-ins on the conversations he had with the reporter, and how he was like, oh, you got to check out this, and essentially he would send them resources from like white nationalism,
Yeah,
resources, stuff that held in high regard the idea that what white people are the high,
Master race.
master race or whatever, and
yeah,
he was
or
the president's room, like, so
yeah.
you can't get higher than that.
What they, what yeah, I think a lot of them aren't like
Influence
as
policy.
overt overt as they are now. They like they're a lot of, they're very mask on at this point. Like they're not,
Mm.
so like they're more subtle with it. So a lot of them are, I guess,
Well,
race
one of them walked
realists,
around Kenosha killing
nationalists.
people. So I don't know,
Yeah.
it looks different. It's not like you're saying, like, like they didn't register as the Eugenesis League of Long Island, but it looks different. Now they carry
It's very
AR.
same. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's still very similar. Like,
they
and
get
like
they get out
they
on bail.
they've learned how to like change their messaging to make
Right.
it less like overt, because like there is a better like calling out, more calling out process nowadays. Like it's less socially accepted generally,
Hmm.
so you have to change, you have to mix it up. So like even those like extremists who are calling for like white ethno states, their critique would be about fatiguing um black on black crime, and the differences in white culture and black culture, and
Hmm.
the flaw in black culture, and therefore a need to separate. So like they'll do that as opposed to um or they'll discuss inherent, yeah, those, some, like some of the more radical ones will still discuss like inherent racial biological differences in like IQ between like whites and blacks,
Oh yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
like
there's people in the
those,
government that think civil rights went the wrong way. So they'll tell you about how civil rights was too radical, and what it's become has become government programs made for affirmative action and not for its intended purposes and stuff. All of that to me is rooted in all of that crap, like
yeah,
about,
for sure.
even though we're all descendants of the same place, like we're 99% the same, like but I don't want to get into the biology of it, but like it's crazy that
Yeah.
people think that.
But yeah, so
What did we have? What were you going to go into next? Come on.
Racism on TikTok.
you said racism on what?
TikTok.
Oh hell
Oh,
yeah.
my least favorite app, or my
So this will
favorite
just
app.
be
I
a
don't
real
know.
quick thing, but I just wanted to also talk about how. All right, so I don't have a TikTok account, like I don't log in, but the way that
Yeah.
app is set up, you can go onto it and you can see content, you can look up things or whatever. So I don't know why this happens to me, but I would say let's stick with 33% because that's a hot number today. 33% of my TikTok
It's just
feed,
butts.
no, it's not. It's actually very clean, very, very safe for work. Um,
Well, TikTok is
which
generally not.
I wish it was more butts. Honestly, I'm like, where are the butts? But anyway, it's a lot of pro-Trump TikTokers, and I
Yeah.
don't know
Weird.
why. Like I don't know what I searched at some point that made my algorithm think that I like
Yeah, do
pro-Trump
you watch
TikToks.
those videos?
I do though. I do.
Yeah,
There
that's
you
why
I
go.
it's
do.
coming up.
I do. No, but
You're
like what start like
interacting with them.
You
no,
can't
but
hate watch them and be like, why am I getting so much pro Trump content? I hate
no,
Give
but
him
this.
more. He loves watching Trump videos.
here's the thing though, like it's not like I'm liking them, or I mean, I guess that's just how the
No,
system
if
works.
anything,
But like,
it's spying on the enemy. Like,
so like, I'm just gathering intel. So
right.
like, I will get these videos, and like the ones that break my heart are the ones that it's like black people, and they're
Oh man,
talking about
there's
like.
nothing worse than a black Trump supporter.
Yeah,
The
and then like
worst.
I go into the comments and it's just like white people being like, "Oh, if I said this, I would be a racist," and I'm just like, "Oh, like please, like don't like that, like just get away." And I just wanted to talk about that because it really, I do hate watch a lot of Trump stuff or pro Trump stuff, but like the worst of it, and it really makes me sad is when it's black people, especially when it's young black people. There's one with this like
Oh,
young black girl saying like how like white privilege isn't real and like all it just like, oh, this is really sad. And it's like, why? Here's what I don't get. At what point did we care this much about presidents that like their entire TikToks are about being a Trump fan? Like, I don't remember people like even black people that loved Obama. No one was like, yo, I gotta dedicate my whole whatever app to
I don't
being
know about
pro
that.
Obama.
I don't know.
Like
There was,
I wasn't seeing that. I don't know.
there was. I mean, there were people who made like entire careers online about like being Obama impersonators. Remember? You don't remember
No.
that?
I'm not talking about creating content about like impersonating Obama. I'm talking about like I go on here to defend Obama every single day. Every TikTok is like, this is why I'm an Obama supporter.
This is why I was
Like,
put on this earth.
Well, but also if you think
like
of
this entire thing was like, and it's like, it's not only okay. I'm a MAGA person, but it's also like,
I just like how you
don't
say MAGA.
don't judge me for being a MAGA person. I'm a unique black person. Don't tell me that. And it's just like, who is asking you these things? Like, who?
yeah.
Like, because clearly you're not surrounded by other black people for you to like, or like, I shouldn't say that because I don't know that that's true. But like, clearly your environment is not challenging you, and everyone around you thinks the way that you do. There's no
Or
way
not,
that you are just
but
like a
like
unique
or not
outlier.
asking the right questions, because like whenever like you do question, it's always the same. Like it's always the same things. Like how could you do it? Like the questioning is wrong, and like their rationale about it, they can't really justify it. At this
Mm.
point, if you support Trump, I just like you gotta just give up on them. Like this, don't waste your time or your energy trying to
No,
convince
it makes me
them.
sad. It makes me so sad.
Nah,
I'm
don't
like,
waste your
someone have to
time.
talk to this girl.
Nah.
That was the only time. It was a young black girl, and she was
If
just saying
anything,
some
you would just
ridiculous
do
shit.
it. The only way I would like engage with those people would be just to dunk on them. I would never like actually try to convince them. Like it would just to
Man,
be it would be just to make them look stupid. It
it
wouldn't
broke
be.
my heart.
Nah,
I was like, someone needs to talk to this girl. I was like she's young enough that someone can talk to her and make it make sense because what
nah.
she's saying right now is
No, but
crazy.
you support Trump though, so your thinking
No,
is
but like I know
broken.
that this
You're
girl's
broken.
parents are just like
You're
wild.
broken.
Like it's her
You're
parents. Like
broken.
it's blame the parents. Like it can't be this girl. I'm not giving up. I'm not. I don't know what her or her TikTok profile is. I'll probably never see her again. But like I just felt so
Apparently
bad. I
you
was like,
will. No,
You probably will.
yeah, I might.
Exactly.
Honestly, I might. But I just want to talk about that because it makes me so sad.
well,
So
two things are related to that. First of all, did you see that the Proud Boys leader was actually a law enforcement informer?
yes, I did see that actually.
That's crazy. Like, I mean, like, like what are the odds? You know, well,
I mean,
not what are the odds, but just of course, like it's like a group of fucking losers, and their leader is a law enforcement informer. Like, hilarious.
it kind of makes sense. Yeah.
The other thing was, I don't know if you heard about it, but using there's like this data series or something. I don't know exactly. It's like the Center for Systemic Peace, and I'm reading literally from my phone because I don't know anything about this. But the USA was downgraded from democracy to anocracy, which is a part democracy and part dictatorship because of some of the things that transpired over the last 4 years, like questioning electoral votes and stuff like that. Like that to me,
That's
that's just, I
that's
mean, it's
fair.
terrible. And
I
then
mean, I wish they had included the fact that we like our politicians are bought and bribed by corporations and private money. That
yeah,
makes it.
no,
Hold on, wait, come on, just show him the T-shirt real quick. Just show him the T-shirt.
Just
Just,
showing the
just show
t-shirt
him
real
the
quick.
T-shirt real quick. Okay? Just let him know who you stand with. Okay.
Just know where I stand. Just
Okay.
recognize it.
I don't have any qualms with Bernie. I mean, like I was about to buy like a little thing of him like sitting in the chair.
Oh, the chair.
Yeah. But I
I'm
mean,
considering being Bernie for Halloween now.
Oh,
I don't even
that would be
celebrate Halloween. I just want to do that.
that would be interesting. But like, funny enough, so related to Bernie, I actually saw like a few people online, like somebody I was watching had found it that like people were actually upset about like the popularity of the Bernie meme,
Hmm.
and they were like
Yeah, I saw that
they
too. There was like a
they were calling
backlash.
they were calling it was like you calling it like racism or sexism because like
Yes, yes,
basically his meme had like overshadowed Kamala's
yes. They were
um
saying that Bernie was getting so much praise for being essentially ugly that it was
yeah, for
taking
being
away
grumpy.
from. It was taking away. It was like a distraction tactic to take away from Kamala and
Yeah.
her
They
her
said
moment.
they were accusing him of like doing it on purpose
Right. They said it
to
was like a
distract.
plot. Yeah.
well,
I
I
was like,
also
this
saw, but I don't know if it
bonkers.
was related to that or different, but I saw some tweets about women being like, "Oh, Bernie, like you're unhappy with dealing with the situation you're in right now. Like try being a woman or something like that."
Yeah,
Oh my god.
that was the same
Oh
cycle.
my
Yeah,
god.
I was like, damn, this is wild. Like people really out here just
That's why we're
with their heads
doomed.
all the way up.
That's
I
where
don't
we're
think Bernie
doomed.
did any of that on purpose. Like he
No,
Absolutely
wait,
not.
don't you absolutely not. Don't yo, that the fact that
absolutely not.
the fact that the fact that those people are the strong anti like Trump guys is the reason why like we'll never get anything done because we're
Well, I mean, I think partly why we don't get
if
things
you're
done is because this country spent 3 days hammering the internet with the Bernie memes instead of like, okay, like now we're actually
as opposed
we
to
have a
what?
Democratic president. Like paying attention to all the crazy shit that's going on. GOP basically giving Trump a pass with 45 votes. Like nobody's posting about that shit, but like let's get a
We're not going
crocheted version of
Wait,
Bernie.
we're not going to
hold
get
on, hold on.
improved Medicare or get stimulus checks by
Let's not get into a deep
continuing
debate.
talk this
We gotta wrap
talk
up.
shit about Bernie. I mean, continue talk shit about Trump. Like that's not going to get us
No, I'm not saying
more.
about shit about Trump. There's other
But like
stuff.
that's the thing though. I'm saying that like all that energy is directed toward criticizing Republicans and Trump, and then criticizing Bernie for like stealing Kamala's shine because she.
No, that's
I'm saying
baloney.
that's where the energy. If your energy is going there, you're never getting anything done that fundamentally changes anything for the better. If like instead of like you have a Democratic president, a Democratic Congress, hold them accountable and call them to action. Call out the fact that you have multiple Democratic senators that will vote against the rest of the party for pushing a forward policy because they're basically Democrats in name alone. Like, do that. Don't be calling for Bernie who was just sitting in a chair because you didn't like how popular. Like, you don't like.
All I'm saying is there's other. I agree with that sentiment. All I'm saying is there's also other matters to attend to, such as officially elected congressmen and women, you know, who are essentially behind and in support of murdering other like people in the in Senate leadership or whatever, whatever they said or whatever, being given, airtime and stuff like that. Like just like crazy stuff going on that like should these people be taken from their positions or censored or whatever? Just like I just mean like there's other shit going on. Like they've got to worry about Congress women bringing their guns into Congress. Like on the
Yeah,
floor.
but they would much rather be jealous about Bernie naturally being popular. So that's why you let the other stuff happen because you much rather be jealous about Bernie than address anything else.
I mean,
That's what it is.
I would argue that he was so popular that he lost.
I know this is where this is going, and I just don't want it to be the conversation.
No. I like Bernie. So
I wanted us to end on a positive, light note, and now we get into hard politics. I'm just saying, Bernie, if he doesn't capitalize on this moment and come out with a line of gloves, someone's not doing their job.
Well, he had I think he had
copping.
He had hoodies. I mean, like Mike saying, he had like a sweatshirt with him on it.
Mittens.
He had sewn mittens,
and then he would be
that he got
those. But those mittens already exist. So what? He would just put his name on.
Oh, he gets the designer. He gets the teacher or whatever to do a collab with him. They release a line of mittens, different colors. Come on,
maybe that's already on the. Maybe that's already a part of it.
It better be. If not, Bernie, call me. I got some ideas for you.
I got
Poorly Made Podcast, episode 22. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.